Bloomberg speaking at the convention. What the fuck? I would highly advise that the Clinton campaign requests that Bloomberg not publicly endorse Clinton. It's the kind of thing that you really don't want. I know she's running on the right and everything, but Bloomberg doesn't excite anybody that she needs to swing. Can you imagine people in Missouri or Iowa, being excited about, you know, all of these, big money Manhattanites? I mean, get real. And on top of that, he really irritates leftists. It's one thing to focus on trying to win Missouri with, social policies or whatever. It's another to go out of your way to poke northeastern liberals in the eye like that. It's just stupidity. It only harms her. So what the hell is she thinking? See, New York is not in play. Well, I mean, unless she bleeds dramatically to Stein. Does she think that she needs to fight against Trump in New York? Does she have some internal polling I'm unaware of? I certainly hope New York is not in play. If New York is in play, then we've got some serious problems here, right? That would suggest a possible landslide for Trump. Of course, none of the polling upholds that. The only way that New York would be in play is if she were to bleed dramatically to Stein. The only way that's going to happen is if she starts doing crazy things like having press conferences with fucking Bloomberg. So what is this? My guess is that it's some kind of reaction to Giuliani or something. Giuliani. Giuliani had a big speech at the RNC. But here's the thing. Nobody cares what Rudy Giuliani thinks, says, or does. The guy is widely seen as a complete idiot. And not just a complete idiot, but a complete fringe idiot. Like, he's way out there. Nobody cares. Like, he's not even in the realm of discourse. He's that far outside of it. I know the TV seems to want to bring him on, but all he ever does is make a fool of himself. She's really better off ignoring him. After all, it's what everybody else does. I've then got this article here, or sorry, this video here that extrapolates on a statement from Giuliani where he expresses reluctance to condemn the Crusades. He's just not sure they were wrong. Why would anybody care what this guy says? He's an idiot. Then I got this poll here where apparently, like, Bloomberg's own poll, he did a poll, and he's not very popular. In fact, he's decidedly unpopular. So, wait a second. Is this because she wanted Giuliani to endorse her? Isn't that a scary thought? The mere premise of wanting Giuliani to endorse you ought to be enough to disqualify you from running for office. If the United States had a guardian council, that would be the rule. She who seeks the endorsement of Giuliani shall not be permitted to run for office. You know what this is, though? It's all this neocon bullshit out of 9/11. This idea that America needs an enemy to fight against. It's right out of fucking Leo Strauss, right? So because she buys into all this nonsense, she sees the Giuliani endorsement as a threat. And she needs to react to it. I mean, there's no other rational reason why she should care what Giuliani thinks. As stated, the state's not in play. He's not actually well regarded by anybody at all besides the lunatic fringe on the right. It's just the narrative that came out after 9/11 about how he was some kind of leader or something. And when? Sometime between spraying the city with malathion and pushing racial profiling from City Hall. The guy was a disaster. I mean, nobody actually thinks he was a good leader. It's just a bunch of bullshit floated around on Fox News. In fact, he's been really eaten alive by somebody with some actual influence on popular opinion, namely Jon Stewart. Stewart destroyed the guy. You couldn't get elected dog catcher after the hatchet job that Stewart did on him. And rightfully so. He's an incompetent buffoon. He has no business running for office. And he demonstrated that. But she doesn't have any kind of meaningful connection to popular opinion, does she? She gets her perspectives from these shielded right-wing think tanks, and they never really dropped the bullshit. Okay. I should take a step back here. I'm erecting, bullshit on top of bullshit here. It's very, very deductive of me to conclude that she's bringing in Bloomberg to counteract Giuliani. I've got to make this assumption and then build it off of that one. Do you deny, though, that it's probably true? I mean, do you have a better explanation? Both as to why she would want to be seen in public with Bloomberg, and I think you really do need to come up with a reason. Like, that requires an explanation. You can't just shrug this off and be like, we need an explanation as to why Hillary Clinton would want to be seen in public with Bloomberg. She should run when she sees him. And can you come up with a better explanation? But the only thing I can think of is that she's reacting to Giuliani. But why would she think that what Giuliani thinks is at all important? It's at least consistent, right? And Hillary is actually consistent. Both when she's lying and when she isn't. But do note something else, okay? She's not leading. She's reacting. Again, that's all she ever does, is reacts. She lets other people define the narrative. She lets other people lead. And she either disagrees or she falls in line, but she doesn't put her own ideas on the table. It's what, a year and a half into the cycle now? Can you name a single thing that she came up with that's not a reaction? There's a lot of policy that you can assign to her, but none of it's original. None of it is a consequence of something that she said, this is what we're going to do. It's not too late, but it seems unlikely. And then she complains people are sexist. They don't take her seriously. Well, she's not leading. She's got to put something down on the table and say, this is what we're going to do, and then push for it. In some ways, it doesn't even matter what it is. Just something. Instead of being this, this ethereal force that just exists. All logic suggests that it should be an easy win for her, but she's doing everything in her power to lose. People are pointing to Trump and saying, is Trump trying to lose? You gotta wonder about Clinton. Is Clinton trying to lose? Again, it's not too late, but it seems unlikely. It seems uncharacteristic. But she'd better figure something out. She'd better figure out some kind of way, some kind of policy position. She's not going to. She's going to try to remove policy and make the election about personality. And when she has to react to some policy position, she will. I'm going to take a different spin on this. Let's hope that she doesn't damage the idea of women in politics so badly that it takes another generation for another one to get there. Because I think that she might. The takeaway from this process might be so damaging to female aspirations in politics as to set them back 25, 30 years. Because she's playing into every awful stereotype about women in leadership roles. She seems to have an extreme deficit of leadership qualities. And in fact, her whole tactic is to demonstrate her deficit of leadership qualities. Try to get your head around it. It's hard. Well, it's not hard to understand it abstractly, like I say, if you can kind of, but it's hard to really understand it in your gut, right? In the sense of understanding things in your gut. If you want to say understanding things, to feel like you understand it. Sometimes language is insufficient to get ideas across on. I hope that you're able to comprehend what I'm trying to get across. I pointed out a while ago that a good way to beat Trump, or something that would probably be the best way, the best way to run against Trump would be to put this, he's not a leader line down. Because he's not. He's not a leader at all. And right-wingers, that's something they react to, right? You don't win an election by pointing to someone and saying they have strong leadership abilities. That's what they're trying to do, right? That person my opponent has very strong leadership abilities. You should not vote for them. It's not even true. He's a buffoon. He couldn't tell his dog to come here. He's the kind of guy that, he calls his dog over and the dog runs off. And you're trying to cast him as some kind of fascist? It's ridiculous. The way to beat this guy is to point out that he couldn't tell his servant how to make a sandwich. Nobody's ever going to listen to a word he says. You put him out on the world stage. You think that Putin's going to listen to Trump? You think the Saudis are going to listen to Trump? They're going to laugh at him. That's how you beat the guy. Instead of trying to cast him as some kind of tin pot dictator, it's ridiculous. You would have to suspend any concept of observation. You would have to have no empirical reasoning. You'd have to be willing to allow the media to completely construct your reality for you. Anybody with any critical thinking abilities can see clear as day that the guy has no authority over anybody or anything. all she had to do was demonstrate a little bit of leadership ability to take control of the situation. That's all she had to do. And not only is she not doing it, she's running on not doing it. It's completely absurd.